Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In yesterday's video that I posted, I reviewed and went over the four controls design LRF and the LMT Mars L, talking about ambidextrous lowers. Well, I did go into detail about them in particular. I kind of just wanted to show the difference between what is a true ambidextrous lower and one that's not a true ambidextrous lower. And I think what really defines that is that a true ambi lower, besides having a left-hand side magazine release and having a bolt release on the right side, it also has a bolt catch. So like I mentioned in yesterday's video, LMT is definitely very fully ambi. Some may argue that the FCD or FCD Sons of Liberty Gunworks one is not, because it doesn't even have an ambidextrous a truly ambidextrous mag release on the left-hand side. It's just kind of like an enhancement for an aftermarket accessory. But in today's video, I wanted to dive in more with some of the different offerings out there to help people who are in the market for an ambidextrous lower. Some of the different options out there and some things to take into consideration. So going to start off, I'm going to talk about the four controls design first. With this unit here, like I mentioned, it's not a true ambi. Only has a right hand bolt release, no bolt catch. It's made out of 7075 billet. It weighs 10.3 ounces with the four control mag release and bolt catch installed, along with the pivot pin. The prices range from anywhere, you see them about $315 to $330. Though Big Tex and Primary Arms have blims available that are about $270. Now, this unit here is actually a blim that I got from Big Tex. So, you know, knocking $85, $105 off on the lower. I mean, that's a pretty big deal going from, sorry, my math is bad, $270 to $315. You're looking at $45 to $60 to get a blim. And Big Tex advertised that allegedly there's a blim down in this area right here, which I can't even see it. So I was very happy with this unit, but definitely save a chunk of change. And when you get it, it only comes with the ambi bolt release. You are still going to have to purchase a mag release and a bolt catch. And you know, if you decide to go with four controls design parts, because they are definitely a bit pricey, it's gonna add some significant cost. The EMRA mag release, that runs about $67, pretty locally found, you know, just standard price, nothing on sale. You can use a standard magazine release, but of course then you would lose the left-hand friendliness of this. And I think if you're at least a left-handed shooter, having that left side mag release is a big deal. So but there are several ambi options available from various manufacturers, from Troy, Knights Armament, CMMG, and even Arms Unlimited, and some lesser brands. The Arms Unlimited one is actually a Norgon copy. I did go over it in one of my earlier videos talking about left hand enhancements for ARs, where typically it just looks like a standard magazine release with some raised material on the back side of it to give you kind of a button to press down on. I've never handled the Norgon. Supposedly they're supposed to be smoother than the Arms Unlimited. I don't know that for sure, but you know, the Norgon one costs about $72, whereas the Arms Unlimited one only costs about $20. Talking about the bolt catch, the FCD ABCR bolt catch, you know, that's about $59. And there's different variations that are available. You have a standard or a centered paddle. You have one where the paddle is biased more forward, and you have one that's more rearward. So obviously, if you're a lefty, having it biased a little bit more to the rear allows you to reach up as a lefty and catch that easier than a standard one, and especially a forward biased one. And then also additionally gives you an added material down here at the paddle, whereas a lefty, when you pull the charging handle back, you can catch the bolt. It gives you something a little bit more to grab onto there. Geisley Maritime Bolt, that is another popular option for a bolt catch. It's quite a bit cheaper. It's only about $29. Though I can tell you that if you choose to go that route, you know, it is a very similar design to the FCD unit here. It does not play well with FCD's EMRA. There is some modification that needs to be done. I think it's annotated on the website. But just something to keep in mind. But you could also just go with a standard bolt catch, save some money there. That's like a $10 part. If you have the ambidextrous bolt release on the right hand side and you are a lefty, do you really need to have some fancy aftermarket bolt catch / bolt release on the left hand side? And again, the Geisley Maritime is a cheaper option at $29 when in comparison to the FCD being at $59. But again, you could get a standard AR mil spec bolt catch for about $10. So something to keep in mind, that if you go and you get the FCD lower, which is not a true ambidextrous, and you want to add FCD parts between the EMRA and the ABCR, that's going to add about $126 of the price of the receiver, on top of the $270 for a blem, or $315, $330 for a non-blem unit. So something to keep in mind. That obviously brings the price up to $456 around there. But also you could do it as cheap as $30 if you use the Arms Unlimited ambidextrous mag release and a standard bolt catch, and that would bring you to about $300 while using a blem. One of the other pros about using the FCD is being that it's billet. It does have the built-in trigger guard. It does also have a flared mag well. That's something that you can potentially save money on, if you want a flared mag well versus going with a built-in flared mag well versus going with an aftermarket one. It does have a very nice wide opening here. And additionally, they say that there is a ramp right here that is built in for those who like to use the rear of the mag well and the spline on the magazine as a guiding point to insert the magazine. So there's that ramp right there. I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but one of the additional benefits. In addition to that, as you can see here, for the rear takedown pin, you can see that it is countersunk into the receiver, which is supposed to make it easier and give you more ability to push your takedown pin out there. And I can't say that I've ever terribly had an issue with standard receiver and not having the countersink, but it's just a little added touch. For color wise, I've only seen these available in black. I'm pretty sure that's the only color that they currently offer them in. Moving over to the LMT Mars L. This unit here, the prices go from about $315 to $330. Again, normal prices without any sales included. This is unlike the FCD. This is made out of forged aluminum, and it weighs 10.4 ounces, which is about 0.1 ounce more than the FCD, with all of the Ambi parts installed, also having the LMT enhanced winter trigger card and the front pivot pin there. So very similar in weight to a billet, which kind of surprised me, because I had always heard, and I may have heard incorrectly, that billet was quite a bit more heavy than forged. I will say that, these two weights that I lifted for the FCD and the Mars L, that's about the most I'm going to be able to provide. A lot of the rest on this list doesn't even give a weight in there. So again, one of the benefits is that it is true Ambi. It does have the bolt catch. It comes with all of your Ambi parts and even your standard parts. So it has the right hand side bolt release, bolt catch. It has the magazine release, standard magazine release. And then on the left hand side, it does also come with the left hand side mag release, along with the standard bolt catch / bolt release. There is slightly a larger material down here to help you catch that bolt a little bit better. FCD has released a Mars L friendly ABCR bolt catch. They'll give you the same options like I listed before, to give you forward bias, rear bias, center bias. But there's nothing that really requires that. I don't have any problems with this at all. LMT Mars L also does have an enlarged mag well. Definitely has a benefit that's all built in. The flaring on it, when I look at them side by side, it doesn't seem like the FCD has a little bit of a steeper angle when in comparison to the Mars L. And they both work very well. Dimension, they're about the same. When I kind of eyeballed it with a pair of dial calipers to see from opening to opening, they were both about 1.25 inches, but I don't know if you're even going to notice a difference on that, though. There is no ramp that's built into the Mars L for that rear spline mag loaders like I mentioned on the FCD. One of the difficult or discouraging things about this is that the Mars Ls, they can be difficult to find in stock. If you're looking to buy a receiver right now today, you're probably going to be disappointed because they're very hard to find. They're offered by many different online retailers though, and you probably are going to have to sign up for in-stock alerts. It seems like every couple of months they seem to have a drop, but they go pretty quickly. And then there's also blems that can be found to save you a little bit of money too. The Mars L that I have on my other lower, that one was actually a blem from Big Tex. And to be honest with you, the price differential really wasn't huge on that one. But if they're available and that's all you can find, there's nothing wrong with that. I want to say there was just a couple little nicks in the anodizing that made that a blem. And keep in mind though that because of this right-hand bolt catch, it does not pair well with all uppers. I know when I built my 12.5, my original intentions were to make it on a Voltor mirror, and the mirror has thicker walls on it. And fortunately, somebody in one of the groups let me know that it would not work with a Mars L lower without modification to the paddle. I think what some people do is they actually turn this around to make it work with the mirror. There may be some issues with other uppers as well. I just know for sure the mirror is one that does not work with. Unlike the FCD, since it is forged, you are going to have to buy a trigger guard separately. It can be cheap, it can be expensive, depending on which one you decide to go to. As you see here, I have the LMT Enhanced Winter trigger guard. On my other LMT Mars L lower, I went with the Forward Controls Design one, which is very similar, basically in shape and geometry, is the one that's already built into the Forward Controls Design. But it does include a ambidextrous safety on it, though. I don't use the LMT ambidextrous safety, and the two lowers I had, I took both of them out because I definitely prefer having the shore throw safeties, whereas the one with the LMT is just your standard 90 degree. Black is the only color that's shown on LMT's website, though I have seen some FDE Cerakoted ones, but I'm pretty sure that they're aftermarket jobs. And that typically increases the price, understandably, and I've seen those typically go for about $400, but they are very, very sharp looking. Now getting into some of the other offerings that are out there, I will preface it and say that I don't have any firsthand experience with these at all. Never even handled one in person. So this is all just based on information and researching that I did online. Again, I just want to provide you with some other options that may be available and consolidate them into one list. So probably the most popular one outside of these ones here, I should say more so, the Mars L, would be American Defense Manufacturing's UIC and ADM4. Both of those are true Ambi. Both are made out of 7075. They're billet receivers. They don't list any weight for them whatsoever. The UIC is probably the more well-known of them. Very distinctive when you see one that it's American Defense Manufacturing. While the ADM4, it's got the same features as the UIC, but it's more of a slick side, so it's more fancy. The left-hand mag release is in a similar location to the Forward Controls Design, where it's above the trigger guard versus being in front of it or forward of it like the LMT Mars L. One thing that's a little bit different is that the right-hand side bolt catch and release, it pushes down, whereas like the Forward Controls Design and the LMT, they're buttons that push in. So whether that's better or worse, I can't really comment on that one. Just something to take into account. You know, different manual of arms may be an issue for some, or some people may find that they prefer not having a button that presses in and something that they press down. So that's going to be up to you. Does have a tension screw for better upper and lower fit. Does have a winter trigger guard that is built in. They do also have a 20-degree competition style magwell. And as a bonus, it does come with dimple takedown and pivot pins. They do note on the website that it cannot be used with triggers that require anti-rotation tabs that have the external plate. A lot of drop-in triggers are like that, where in order, since standard AR trigger pins are held in with tension, typical cassette drop-in triggers, they're just kind of floating, so you have to have or captive screws that have those plates or bars that go from pin to pin. So do mention those will not work, but ADM has developed low head pins for use with CMC triggers. Price for the ADM UIC is about $380 on ADM's website. It is available in black and OD green anodized. You can get other colors like gray, flat dark earth, brown, etc. That are Cerakote, but that's going to cost you another $60. The ADM4 is a bit more money. That's $420 on their website. Same thing, offered in black and OD green anodized with other options in Cerakote for the same price. Next on the list, and another very popular option, is their Radian ADAC. It's another true Ambi, but how this is a little bit different, and of course I don't have one here on hand that I can demonstrate with, where the ADAC is different for the bolt catch. While you have a right-hand bolt release that is on the right side, you lock the bolt back by pressing the magazine release, pulling the charging handle back, pressing and holding the mag release, and then letting go of the charging handle, and that locks it in place or locks it open. So then when you want to drop the bolt, you just simply press a button on it and then drops it. I don't think there's any other Ambi lower that's quite like that. So again, different manual of arms, maybe something that, some people may say is a pro or some people may say is a con. It is a 7075 billet receiver, no weight that's lifted. Comes with all of the Ambi parts, so there's no additional parts to purchase. The right-hand bolt release is in a similar place as the FCD LRF, as is the left-hand side mag release, where it is above the trigger guard area. That one has standard, bolt release pushes in, like pretty much every other one on this list. Does have a built-in winter trigger card, and also a flared magwell. Something that's also a little bit unique to the Radian ADAC would be what they call SART, or self-adjusting receiver tensioner. It is spring-loaded, and it automatically adjusts to provide a tighter fit to your upper. My only experience with tension screws have all been of the design, and neither of these lowers have it, where it's underneath where the grip is, and you have to remove the grip and the grip screw, and then put your lower on, pin it up, and then tighten it with an Allen key to get it to be where you want. So again, that seems kind of cool. Never actually use it though. Not sure how well it works or not. Price is a little bit pricey. It's $490, but it can be found in stock pretty easily. But in that $490, it also includes the Radiant Raptor Ambi safety, your takedown pins, and it also has longer hammer pins. It is required because in the area on the ADAC, there is a little thicker buildup of material that makes it thicker and requires longer hammer pins. So it's available in black and other Cerakote options, but unlike the ADM UIC, the colors don't add any cost. And the only Cerakote is added to the receiver. Any of the controls that are on they stay black. All right, next I'm going to talk about the primary weapon systems MK1 Mod 2-M. So this is another one that is a true Ambi, at least on the Mod 2. Seems like previously, I guess on the Mod 1, or maybe it was just the MK1, they didn't have a right-hand bolt catch. It was only a release. But with the 2-M, you get full Ambi capability. It is a forged lower, but it looks billet. It definitely has a very distinct look, very PWS-like. This one here, they did actually give the weight in just the receiver with no other parts installed. It's about 7.6 ounces. And if I remember correctly, at least on Forward Controls Designs webpage, I want to say that it's 9 ounces with only the Ambi installed. So probably one of the lighter ones. The right-hand side bolt catch and release is a bit more similar to the Mars L, but it seems to be, it looks like it's a little bit closer, a little more forward, closer to the magwell, to aid for the lefties that do a right-hand mag load, that they don't have to reach over quite as far to release the bolt. At least that's the way that it looks that's in the pictures. And also the left-hand side mag release is similar to the Mars L, where it's forward of the trigger guard area. Though looking at the pictures on the website, it is going to require the purchase of a standard magazine release also. It does have an enlarged rearward biased left-hand side bolt release. So look on the website, and I'll probably drop some pictures in there. The control surfaces, they're pretty big. Definitely added material there, in comparison to the Mars that just looks like it has standard size. all of the surface controls. So whether it be the mag release, the bolt catch, along with the right-hand side controls, everything has a lot wider paddles on them. Does also have a built-in trigger guard that is enlarged along with the tension screw. Could not find anything on there that said that if the magwell is flared or enhanced. Prices around $300, and they can be found somewhat easily. And as far as color goes, I've only seen them in black. The Noveski N4 Gen 4 is going to be the next on the list. That is a 7075 billet aluminum, no weight that was listed. Not a true Ambi release. It does only have the right-hand side bolt release, no bolt catch option. Also has the built-in winter trigger guard. Does have a flared magwell and tension screw. It includes the right-hand side bolt release along with the hardware, and it seems to be identical to the one of the Forward Controls Design. And I say that especially since if you go on Forward Controls Design website, you can buy the right-hand side bolt release independently along with the hardware, and it says it can be used with the Noveski. Left-hand side mag release seems to be, I don't know if it is an Oregon, but it's the same design where there's no type of paddle that pivots similar to what the Forward Controls Design unit does. It is more of an enlarged surface that looks like it's on a standard magazine release that just gives you an option to press it in to help drop the mag there. Costs are a little bit expensive, about $425. They can be harder to find, but they are currently in stock on Primary Arms website. The LWRC IC is the next one I'm going to talk about. That is a true Ambi lower. It's forged aluminum, but I can only find them as a complete lower. I have never seen them as a strip lower. Don't even know if they're available. The right-hand side bolt catch / release looked very similar to the Mars L unit, but also it doesn't seem to be as far as a reach as the Mars L. The left-hand mag release is similar design to the Forward Controls Design, where it's above the trigger guard area, but it looks to be like it's even a little bit further aft. It also looks to have a larger paddle on it. It does have an enhanced and flared magwell. The price, it's about $530 to $570. Depending on where you look. But again, that is a 100% complete lower, and availability does seem to be hit or miss. I was eyeballing these myself a while back, and I set up for in-stock alerts on Big Techs, and I see the emails come every periodically. So a little bit of looking I did before this video, I did find several that were in stock, but they have like limits on them that you can purchase limits. So I'm going to assume that they are pretty widely sought. I know LWRC definitely has a very good reputation in the AR-15 industry. The Knights Armament SR-15 Ambi lower, will be the next one we're going to discuss, is not a true Ambi lower, only has a right-hand side bolt release. It is made out of forged aluminum. As I mentioned, the right-hand bolt release is only release and not a catch. That right-hand side bolt release is similar design in place as the Forward Controls Design in Noveski. The left-hand mag release is directly forward of the trigger, much like the Mars L. These can be difficult to find. I haven't seen any strip lowers. I can only find the standard non-Ambi strip lowers available from Knights Armament. A few of the complete lowers that I found available online that were in stock, or they said they were in stock, were from retailers that I'd never heard of. So I don't know how credible they are now. And price ranges seem to range from $775 to $1,300 for a complete lower. Not sure why there's such a large range of price on that one. So the last one I'm going to discuss is going to be the new Daniel Defense R3. So obviously Daniel Defense has been in the industry for quite a while now. They've been trusted and proven to be pretty reliable. I would like to check out one of their new Ambi lowers, and it is a true Ambi lower made out of forged aluminum. The right-hand side bolt catch and release is similar design to the Mars L with a very enlarged paddle to release the bolt. Also doesn't seem to look to be as far back as the LMT. The left-hand side mag release is also similar to Mars L, but even further back, where let's see, the Mars L here. You can see where it sits right here. The Daniel Defense seems to protrude almost into the area of the trigger guard. So how that works ergonomically, I don't know. I've never been able to get my hands on one. Could be pro, could be a con. I can't find any strip lowers whatsoever. Even the complete lowers, they're not even offered on Daniel Defense's website. I have only found complete lowers at Charlie's Custom Clones and some website called Yeti Firearms. But when I tried to click on the Yeti Firearms, my browser gave me an alert saying it's not secure, so I didn't even click on them. Charlie's Custom Clones wants 1,024 for a complete Daniel Defense R3 lower, but they do state that it's limited availability and that they do take them off of complete Daniel Defense rifles. All right, so that wraps up the list of Ambi lowers out there that I'm going to discuss. I am aware there's other offerings on the market from CMT, Grey Ghost Precision, Seekins, just to name a few. The ones I talked about here are probably the most popular and widely used, with the exception of the DD, obviously being newer on the market, just within the last year or so, but definitely coming from a proven manufacturer. Of course, then there's always, you can get full left-hand offerings, and more concern about in reference to uppers, from Stag, CMT, Gibbs, Rock River Arms, and I believe there's others also. But, as I mentioned in my previous video, my first AR was a Stag left hand. Ultimately, I just decided that I wanted to stay more universal. So every AR that I've either bought or built afterwards has all just simply been standard right hand ARs with enhancements to the lowers or full Ambi lowers. I will say that shooting suppressed as a lefty really sucks, but I've gotten around that by using Huxworks can. Having the minimal blowback is definitely a must-have for a left-handed shooter shooting a standard AR. But back to the point of this video, Ambi lowers. Which one is best is really going to be up to you and your preference and your needs. Do you really need a full Ambi? Having that bolt catch and not just the bolt release. I know for me personally, it's not something that I feel that I need, at least not yet. Do you prefer billet or do you prefer forged? And then of course, price is always a big decider in everything that we purchase, but especially when it comes to guns. How decked out do you need your lower to be? Do you need to use, or do you want to use the forward control design parts, or can you use standard mil-spec parts? So again, that can greatly influence how much your overall cost is going to be. I will say the LMT Mars L is probably considered to be the benchmark Ambi lower. At least that's what I've gathered. And it's also not a bad price when you think of all that comes with it. Now, of course, you can buy a standard stripped lower for say right around $100, some cheaper, some less. Of course, if you want to go for a lower manufacturer like Anderson, I think you can buy them for almost $35. But from somebody we would consider reputable, let's say they cost about $100. So when you're looking at an Ambi lower, yes, even at around $300, $315 for LMT Mars L, that is quite a bit more money. But just talking about Ambis, everything that you get with it, again, getting all the Ambi controls along with getting the magazine catch with no additional parts to buy, that's a pretty good deal. And like I said, I think that it's really considered to be the benchmark for lowers. Other thing to consider is how much value are you getting from the various lowers. Getting a complete lower like the LWRC for $550 or so may be great for you, because you don't have anything else to buy at all. It's ready just to pin to an upper. But I will say, it's some of the lessons I've learned over the years that buying something that's complete, you are wasting money if you want to change out parts. Not saying you need to change out parts. I know I like to really change a ton of stuff out my lowers. I really prefer the forward control designs. Castle nuts, because it gives you an additional spot to stake. I like adding a QDM plate depending on what size upper I'm using it on. So if it doesn't have one, I like to change it out. Definitely always stick with Geisley triggers. Safeties, I tend to switch the safeties out quite a bit. So again, if you want to change things out, go to a heavier buffer weight, or maybe go over to an A5 length system similar to what I have here on my FCD lower. If you buy a complete upper or lower, and you're changing a bunch of parts out, you paid for a lot of parts that are just either going to go to a bin, or maybe if you want to look at it on a positive note, it's just more parts you have for another lower you could go build up. So the Radian ADAC, it is pricey, but it includes the safety, the takedown pins, and has that cool SART adjustment. But the Radiant safeties, they are not cheap, and as of late, even though they seem to be the favorite over many years, have fallen out of favor due to potential issues with them. I do have a couple myself, and I will say that I had an issue, though it's not the same one that people have issues with lately, but it would not play well with one of my Geisley triggers. I want to say it was the SSAE. It seemed to bind it up. After doing some research online, I found out the reason why. I changed it to a standard or a different safety selector. Never had any issues with it again. But the issues that are being reported about is supposedly with certain triggers, or if you press on it with certain pressure and angle, I don't remember exactly, it can actually go have over travel and then pretty much bind your trigger up completely. So again, just something to keep in mind. So overall, hope this diving deeper a little bit into the different Ambi lowers that are available on the market helps you make a decision if you are in the market yourself for an Ambi lower, which ones will work for you and which ones will not work for you. Again, it is all going to be on your preferences, but hope the video helps. Thank you again for the views. Have a good one.